A good and loyal wife from the Philippines. Our thoughts of the good and loyal woman, the ideal Filipino wife, have had me thinking over the last few days. Now, I have an old mate from New Zealand who I've known for, no idea, 16, 17, 18 years or so. I used to run an online advice forum many years ago when I was first involved with Filipino ladies, and Ted was one of my fellow moderators. Sensible and logical man with a long-standing marriage to a Filipino lady. Well, he sent me photos of his grandson the other day. He's been married to Raquel for 38 years, which is a bit more than most of us. Now, he used to tell me some amazing stories about his wife's family in the Philippines and the ends they went to try to extract money from them. And he had and still does have some fairly choice stories of men he knows who married real gold diggers who put the needs of the family in the Philippines first and their marriage and their husband a definite second. But he coped, and whilst my relatives, I have to say, are not nearly as bad, I coped too with some of the problems that come up with attempted users and abusers and just those annoying situations caused by coarse manners and those unavoidable cross-cultural clashes, because Ted and I have one thing in common. We both married good women who are completely loyal. Why would we tie the relative who tries to pull the wool over Mila's eyes? Makes me wonder why I keep saying Kiwi things like choice and mentioning wool. A loyal Filipino wife, the essential basis. Now, there are a million expressions out there about loyal wives and how they can either make or break a man. And gentlemen, wasn't that one of the factors that steered us towards the Philippines in the first place? The stories of the decent, family-oriented Filipino ladies who weren't man-haters and who would run to the divorce lawyer at the first sign of how the magic had gone from the marriage. That being the case, why do so many end up with women who put the family in the Philippines first? Where's the loyalty in that? Now, I can remember a friend of Mila's in Hong Kong years ago. I met her before Mila and I married. I met her while visiting Mila, don't get me wrong there. She told Mila she didn't like me because I wanted to know what was going on. Her idea of the ideal foreigner was one who kept his mouth shut and his wallet open. Now, her plan was to marry a Western man, anywhere, America, Australia, whatever, and they would both work. His salary would take care of her and any children she had with him, and hers would go straight to the family. Now, she was pretty, but my goodness, I'm happy to say she never married a white fella and ended up in the provinces with a local chap. So Australia has been spared one more headache. Now, Mila, her first job in Australia many years ago, when she got it, she told me of all the plans she had for new curtains, etc. in our home. And to this day, she's actually less generous to her family than I am. They all learned long ago that her response would always be, "I'll talk to my husband about that and we'll let you know." Either that or she just ignores the request and I never even know about it if it's really unreasonable. And yes, I feel incredibly lucky, as I should. No doubt Ted feels exactly the same and has no regrets at finding his good woman all those years ago. Now, I envy nobody at all. She has my back, absolutely. She understands me, she believes in me, she spoils me rotten. I have no idea. No question. My best friend and my soulmate. And whilst I know how lucky I am, isn't it just plain reasonable to expect this as the basis of a good marriage and a good life? Marrying the whole Filipino family. I detest this expression because it's used for the wrong reasons. The one that says, you marry the Filipino, you marry the whole family. I'm sure you've all heard about it. And this is the one that men with the disloyal wives use as a justification for their predicament. And yes, they are her family, and she will always love them and always care about them, of course. That's only reasonable. It's a country of poverty and without those safety nets that Aussies take for granted. You get sick, you don't have a Medicare card, no healthcare card if you're on a pension, and there were no standard pensions or dole that people can fall back on like Australians come to expect. No one should expect her to sit back and let her family wallow in misery and suffering, obviously. But what I'm talking about though is the share the wealth mentality that says if one family member strikes it rich, everyone gets to share. Utter nonsense. Now, it may surprise many in Aussie that it's not just Australian husbands in Australian Filipino relationships who run afoul of the disloyal Filipino wife who puts her existing birth Filipino family first. Now, this also happens even within Filipino marriages. We've got a few family members who have wives who spent their working lives, sometimes working overseas, supporting lazy siblings. I'm not talking about bailing them out when there's an emergency. I'm talking about supporting them. Now, some have ended up at the end of their working lives with nothing, and there are others who will have some nasty little surprises waiting for them when they get their very last pay packet. Now, our best advice is set your standards high. Now, loyalty is a reasonable request. Give your wife your total loyalty and expect the same in return. Wives, please do the same. Let your relatives know where you stand, and that where you stand is side by side with your husband, as you should. They will have no choice but to accept it. If they get unpleasant, distance yourselves. You have each other, and that's what matters most of all. Thank you. This video was brought to you by Down Under Visa, who specialise in visas for Australian Filipina couples. Please visit our website and complete a free visa assessment form, and please watch some of our other videos. Thank you.